Hey everybody, Shawn back from the Sci-Fi Model Guy, and welcome to the second and final chapter of the NX-01 Enterprise from Polar Lights. This is a 1/1000 scale build. She's about 7 or 8 inches long and about 5 inches wide. Powered by a nice 9-volt power supply in here with some minimal lighting that we're talking about in the video. And there's also some aftermarket Aztec decals that are going on the ship, which we talked about in the last video. I'm super happy with the way these turned out, folks. It's a high quality decal. So if you're going to build this ship, definitely recommend investing in that. It really adds some great detail to it. So again, it's a cramped design here. Not a whole lot of room for the lighting, but I still say this is a good one for beginners because it will teach you all the skills you need to have. As long as you have some patience and a steady hand, you'll get through this one. And before we get to the video, everyone, I do want to just let you know this kit was made for Raquel Briggs, rmbriggs, who is one of the last true science fiction authors, everyone. She specializes in short story format and has released at least one book as far as I can remember, and there's another one coming. So I'm putting the information for Raquel's books website, how to order the books there, and check them out. So if you're a fan of sci-fi, definitely go ahead and do that. And I want to thank Raquel and Clobby over at Clobberin Times for promoting this channel, as they have on Saturday Night Star Trek and then at Clobby's Clubbhouse. I'll put some links in the description for that below as well. And if you're into Star Trek, as I apparently am, as this is the third Enterprise build that I've done in a row, you would really enjoy those streams. They talk about detailed analysis of all the episodes. Really great fan interaction over there, folks. And I want to thank Clobby and Raquel for promoting this channel as they have. So a lot of you watching this probably have come over from some of those streams. So hopefully this will extend some thanks to you, Raquel, for your help in promoting the site, and we'll get some other things out to Clobby and Marc D over there on Clobby's channel in the months to come. In the meantime, folks, enjoy this video, enjoy this build, and as always, happy modeling, and don't forget to send me pictures of your projects at the sci-fi model guy at gmail.com. I'm putting that right there on the screen, or maybe I needed to go that way. Can't remember. So it's all there, folks. So send me your pictures, and we'll do your projects in our viewer mail series that are going to be coming up in the weeks and months to come. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy and happy modeling. Okay, everyone, I just wanted to record a little bit of the brushwork here because we're going to be giving the model a light coat of this dark copper, and it's the Tamiya acrylic paint. I think it's XF28. I think I'd spilled some on there, but I believe that's the one. So yeah, I've gone ahead and loaded up my airbrush, and she's testing. So because I'm doing such a light coat, I wanted to kind of show how much I'm doing here. So let me give her a go. And again, it's just going to be kind of a light tone. And forgive me for this paper that's you're going to hear crumpling around, and you're going to be hearing my air conditioner in the background as well, because it is very hot here today. So I can't have it off. It just gets too hot here in the shop. So I'm going to have to just deal with it. Well, I'm dealing with the temperature just fine. We're going to have to deal with the sound that's going to come out on this video. I think I should say so. Okay. And again, I'm running the airbrush at about 15 psi when depressed, when it's pressed down, and it's coming out good. So this is about the level I want for this copper undertone. I'm going to have to reload my airbrush here. Again, I'm not covering up all of the metallic or the gunmetal. I'm just giving it a nice kind of a copper sheen, almost rust. So let me reload the brush here, and I'll come right back. All right, sorry about that, you guys. I just misread how much paint I was going to need. So just giving it a quick second run here, make sure I cover most of the areas. And if I miss an area or two, or it's not as thick as another, that's okay. I don't think it's going to make a tremendous difference if I do a little bit, because again, this is a mid-tone underneath the main metallic silver that we're going to do. So I'm just hitting the top here, and I'm rotating the ship around here. Again, I'm on these little cotton buds that I put into the holes on the other side, which is turning out to be just right. Okay, so this is it, everyone. This is a metallic copper, but I'm not putting any more on here than this. So I'm going to move this out of the way if I can. And I'm going to go over here. So now the copper here, I'm going to hit these pieces here that are supposed to be going to be going on the ends of the nacelles. I did not paint them the metallic, the gunmetal gray. I forgot. That's okay. I'm just going to go with the copper on this. They're very small pieces. And here we go. And then here, these pieces are the deflector dish. I believe we're only going to need one of them. I think it's the smaller one is for this one, and the bigger one is for the refit. I'll just paint them both. You never know, I could lose a piece, drop it, dog could eat it. Okay, and then there's these little guys here that are like a needle coming out of it, or the antenna, I guess it would be. So I'm going to hit those and hit this other side of these guys. And again, I'm fine with these not getting the gunmetal gray underneath, because again, they're very, very small. And if there's just a bit of a difference between the colors on that, especially on these little support pieces that are on the outside of the nacelle, I'm fine with that. Okay, just hitting the other sides of the deflector dish, and I can paint them. Sorry if I'm out of camera here. Let me give it a good shot here. There we go. Now I gave these a heavy shot, obviously, because this piece is actually going to stay this color of copper. So, all right, so that's it, everyone. I'm going to get a alligator clip here. I was like looking for a place to set this down, and I realized I need this and my trusty alligator clip holder, which is a piece of foam. I forget where this even came from. I think it was a monitor or a laptop or something, but I love that thing. Okay, so those are going away, and now I'm just going to hit the nacelles. I've got just enough paint left, I think, to give them a once-over. All right. And I think what I'll do is just over here, I'll run it out. I'm off camera here. And there it goes. I was gonna I just put the rest on to the nacelles that were sticking out. Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling here, guys. It's been a long day, but that's it. So I'm gonna let this dry throughout the day, and then when I get back from my night job tonight, I'll be able to spray all this with a metallic and that. So, and then while I've got the airbrush going here, I'm also going to paint the clear parts with the red for the nacelle, the starter collectors, and the grills, and there's one piece on the front that's like a blue deflector dish, and then the impulse engines, and that'll be that. And then we're gonna get to wiring the nacelles, putting it together, powering it up, and we're good. So stick around. Hey guys, so I wanted to take a minute here real quick. So right after I finished closing that last segment, I had forgotten that I wanted to paint the hull of the ship with the silver directly after putting the copper undertone. I know I talked about that in the previous video, and the reason for that is to get the silver paint a chance to mingle with the copper a little bit, because the copper is still wet, and putting the wet paint on there, I actually did want it to mix a little bit to give it just that little bit of hint of copper. So luckily I remembered in time, and I came over here and gave this a few shots of the silver. It really didn't take much at all, you guys. It was like a few squirts and it was done. It laid over beautifully. So I know that if this was over white primer, it would have come out, you would have seen all kinds of specks and everything. But as you can see here, I think anyway, and I can see it, is it just gives that subtle variation that I was after. So I'm really happy with the way this came out. And up here are the nacelles that I painted. These you can't see it as well, but I still can kind of see it from the naked eye. And that's it, you guys. So yeah, I wanted to get that on record about this before I forgot. So if you're following along with me and you opt with the copper undertone like we're doing, come over and get your top coat on immediately after. So even if whether you're using a spray can, copper, or airbrush, same difference. Go ahead and put that silver on right after, and looks like you get some pretty nice results. Okay, everyone, that's it for now. See you in the next segment. Hey guys, okay, we're all wired up, ready to go, and getting ready to close her up here. So I just wanted to take a minute here and talk about the wiring. So I've got the nacelles have two 0805 SMDs, which are just those little small lights there. And there's one here near the end cap or the Bussard collector, and then there's one right here in the middle to illuminate the grills there. We've got one 0805 SMD here and here, which is just to illuminate the impulse engines. And then we have some LED strip. So there's a section of 3 here, 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 and in the front. Originally I was going to put one back here, but this was enough to illuminate the top of the saucer section. So I chose to put one here to light up the deflector array assembly here. And that's it. So everything's wired up right now. And for the beginners that are watching this, it looks a little bit complicated, but it really wasn't. Again, just a few SMDs and some basic light strips. It's simple soldering. It was a little bit of a challenge to align the wires here in this channel because this is the bottom part of the saucer section, and this part's going to go on top. So if you can see here, you kind of have to use some tape, which I just cut some little pieces of the frog tape, and just enough to hold these down. And that's fine. Once I get the top glued on, it's fine if this peels away. The wires aren't going to go anywhere. Again, I just wanted to secure them so that the top of the saucer section wasn't pinching this down. Everything's terminated up to here. So here's the positive relays from the nacelle pieces, positive wire from the inside the saucer section, and then the negative wire here. So everything just kind of connects. It's all very basic, guys. I had to be a little careful to do it, but a beginner can definitely do this. So very simple lighting structure, no nav board or anything. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the lights here. Now it's going to be bright on the camera, but everything's working. We've got the nacelle end caps are nice and red. I am going to have to go over those with some clear paint after all this is done. The chiller grills are nice and blue, and no light leaks that I can really tell. And it's a nice subtle blue glow. The impulse engines are lit up very nice. And then of course we have the saucer section. I'm going to turn that off so I know we were blinding a little bit. So now what I'm going to do here is get this ready. So I've already pre-drilled the hole into the assembly. So I'm going to stick these wires right down there. Whoops. Oh, the nacelle popped off. So the nacelles are just kind of being held on by these pegs. I did not glue them down. So there's these two little pegs here that the nacelles are resting on. And the other thing to be careful with if you're doing this is to make sure that the wires are not going to be pinched when you kind of work the top of the saucer section. So there, that's in there. It might pop off again. And then I'm going to work this in there and then snag it on, and it should be fine. So I might have to do a little back and forth with it. So we're going to expect that to happen. And I'm kind of running out of battery here on the camera, so I'm going to try to make this efficient. Okay. Get on through there. Okay, so that's set there. I think I'm going to take some tape and just tape the wire on the other side there so it doesn't fly around on me. Okay. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video here, get the phone charged up, and get some little bit more battery on here, and then we'll come back and I will set the glue here, and then we'll work the saucer section on, clamp it down, and we'll record that part. Be right back. All right, guys, phone's charged up a little bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and snap her together here. I'm opting to try this without any glue, and I think it should be okay. Again, this is a snap together model, and I did employ a little bit of glue here and there in some spots, most specifically with the bottom part of the saucer section. There were some little side pieces that go to kind of fill the gap between the top and the bottom. And I went ahead and glued those down to the bottom because I didn't want any light leaks coming out. Probably would have been okay. And if you're not going to light this model, you don't need to glue them at all because everything will fit together snugly. But since we're lighting, we have to be cautious of some light leaks. All right. So what I've done here is I've just taken the nacelles off of their little mounting pegs here and here, just to give myself some room to put the top of the saucer section on. So I'll kind of remove this a little bit to demonstrate. So I just moved the nacelles. They're kind of hanging, but it's okay. It's not like there's a lot of weight and they're not going to snap the wire. So before I close her up, I do want to just mention again, little pieces of tape here to hold the wires in place. And I didn't glue any wires down in here. The tape is just going to hold it enough for me to get this on, and then they can flop around all they want. And I did use not a ton of, but enough shrink tubing. So if you're going to start this and you're getting into lighting for the first time, you definitely want to invest in some shrink tubing. And the stuff I'm using for this kit is here. It's the 1.5 millimeter, and I got this from HDA Model Works. I think it's $4.99 for 3 feet or something. And 3 feet will last you a good amount of time there. And what you do is you just put that around the wire where you've connected it, and then use a lighter to burn it, and it shrinks around there. So it works a heck of a lot better than electrical tape, and won't come apart and fly around. So that's a really good way to secure your connections. What else? Not really anything else to talk about on this wiring before we close it up. I do want to just kind of point out this little antenna thing here. I'm probably going to end up gluing that in. I'm just letting it sit for now, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and do one final check for the wires to make sure I'm not going to pinch anything. So I'm looking to make sure there's no wires along the sides and no wires on any of these pegs here. So there's a peg here, there's a peg there. That won't pinch. That won't pinch. So now this is hanging over a little bit, so I will just slightly give that a little push, and that's fine. And everything else is secure. No other wires around the pegs. Here, this will get, well, maybe that one I should here. So there's this little guy, little volunteer there. All right, we're ready to close her up. So doing this hopefully will be a good a good connection in one take rather. So let me put the nacelle on. I might end up gluing the nacelles. In fact, I probably should. Yeah, why don't we do that? So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue. I'm going to be very careful not to... I don't want to get any glue on these wires because I don't know what the glue will do. So I'm just doing a little bit here. Not a ton, and I'm only doing it on these pegs. And that will give me good chances of it not getting on these wires and eating them away. Okay, so those are secure. And let's see, let's start from the back. I'm just pinching these together here. And I'm going slow because I don't want to force this stuff. And I'm also going to probably end up having to glue some of it, but I want to get this test fit on perfectly fine first. Might be good to just let this sit and let this glue dry on the nacelles here. So I'm going to do that, folks. Pause the video and let this kind of calm down, this glue, to get these nacelles so they don't keep flying off, and then I'll be right back. All right, guys, so the nacelles have set down, and I've gone ahead and pushed the ship together in the areas where I know the pegs are. So I've pushed it down here, and then the saucer section, just kind of giving it little gentle squeezes here, and I did hear and feel the pegs kind of engage there. And so I did do a little bit of a light test. So I did cheat a little bit. I'm not doing a full, my own reveal here, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And there we go. Let me turn off the overhead light. And we have here a well-lit, very limited light leak ship. And she's looking great. So I'm going to do a little turn there. Now, I do have some light leaks here in the saucer section, as I was hoping it wouldn't be so bad, but it's actually going to be very easy to fix. It's a very flat surface under here. I can get some glue in there and some tape and just a little bit of overnight pressure, and it should be fine. I don't think I'm going to need to use much, if any, putty on the sides here. Now, I might have to end up using some putty on a couple areas on the aft of the ship, specifically right where the nacelles connect there. I am going to have to use a little bit of glue there and clamp that down. Then there's a bit of a little gap here where the impulse engines are. I'll fill that with some putty, and that'll be okay. But other than that, she really came together good. I'm not concerned with this whatsoever, guys. These light leaks here that you're seeing are going to be easily fixed just by squeeze. If I squeeze it together with my thumbs like this, it goes away. So a little bit of glue in there and some clamps and tape and a little bit of overnight to let it set, and it should be just fine. I'll definitely reinforce this. Looks like the nacelle popped off a little bit. That's okay. I just hadn't quite yet let it set enough to be moving around the way I am. So that's be fine. Really good lighting test here, you guys, and I'm really happy. All the lights are coming through really, really nicely. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the other light I have over here. All right, guys, so I am going to cut this segment now and go ahead and the remainder of the evening, I'm going to glue what I can and get the clamps down. It might take a couple sessions because I don't have a ton of clamps and tape, but we'll do what I can. And once that's all set, it will be time for some putty work, some touch-up of the paint, and then detail paint just in some areas. And I'll go over that on the final reveal where I'm going to be doing some painting. And then after that, the Aztec... turn on the lights back again here. We're going to install the Aztec sheets here for all the details on there, and then ultimately the lettering and decals that came with the model itself. All right, guys. So all in all, we're almost done, and this is down to the fun part, and then of course mounting it on the display and connecting the wire parts. So stay tuned, everyone. Hey everybody, so I got the ship all wired up, put together, and I'm just going to record the putty work process here and put some of that here into the video. So I'll be doing a lot of time lapses. If you hear me talking and in the background you hear noise, that's my air conditioner that I have out here in the shop, and it's quite hot today, so I do need to keep that on. I normally try to turn it off because it is kind of loud, but I'm sorry that we're going to have to deal with it because it's about 105 degrees out there, and it would heat up really quick without this. So let's go over with what I've got going on here. I've got the ship, obviously. She's all plugged in and sealed. We've got a couple wires out here to power it on, which you cannot see in the shot, I think. And what else we got? I've got a tin here that I've filled full of water. I've got some cotton swabs. They're craft swabs. I've got my little piece of fiberglass, plexiglass for the putty, my palette knife, and of course the putty itself. I've already done a little bit of work here. Tried to record a couple other segments, and my dog Dexter decided to come in and start yapping at me a little bit. He wanted to go outside, so had to kind of start over. He's a Shepherd Husky mix. So let me get here. I also have my dental pick. So I had initially started, I put putty here in this section. There was a little bit of a gap we had, so I puttied that up, and I'm just using my dental pick here to scrape away some of this extra that got into one of the areas there. Let me get that piece back in. Okay. So, yeah, I'm applying this with the palette knife. Oh, I also did this edge over here. Applying it with the palette knife, and then what I'm doing is with the cotton swab, getting that a little bit wet and just getting the excess off a little bit. And then the cotton swab also helps to get it into the areas where we want it. I'm just going to keep the camera rolling here as I do this, and when I edit the video, I will kind of just do some cuts, and I'm going to do this in one long cut, and I will choose some areas here that are going to be good demonstrations, I think, of what we're doing. And I've got the lights on here, obviously, because that way I can more easily see the light leaks. You can kind of anticipate them if the lights are off, but better to have it on. Just be very careful if you're doing this. Off to the side here, I'll zoom out. Right over here are the positive and negative wires. Make sure you have these wires taped down. If you recall, I had that little meltdown of the Enterprise C because these moved together and touched. And so I've learned to put a little tape here to keep these separate and locked down, especially when I'm moving the ship around and all over the place. These would tend to move along with it, and I don't want them touching. So that was a little thing I just picked up from having a failure. Now, if this was for myself, I would probably not be doing such intricate light blocking here. Like, I'm getting this putty in this tiny little area underneath the ship. Probably would never look there, but this kit is for a friend of the channel. And I want this to be really good. So as I think I'll probably state this in the intro, this ship is being made for Raquel Briggs, and Raquel is an author, and a scholar, and she has a wonderful book, science fiction stories. The name escapes my mind. Please forgive me right now, but Raquel is one of the few remaining people who write science fiction short stories. So think of Star Trek and Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, those kind of things. Very short stories, and she's continuing on that wonderful tradition that we have just about lost. And she can be heard on Thursdays and Saturdays on Clobberin Times channel, also known as Clobby, and they've done a nice job of promoting the channel in their live stream. So on Thursdays they have Clobby's Clubbhouse, and on Clobby's Clubbhouse they talk about everything from the wonderful show from the 70s called UFO, with Commander Straker. Very interesting show. It only lasted one season, and they talk about that. They talk about currently on the Thursday show the Star Trek comics, the original older Star Trek comic books about Christopher Pike and their adventures. And then on Saturdays, Clobberin Times has Saturday Night Star Trek, where they discuss a few episodes of the seasons, and they have what's called the 735 Club, and that is for the number of episodes and movies from Star Trek, from the original Star Trek before the current batch of Trek came out. And it's to kind of keep that tradition going. So they started with watching and reviewing every episode of the original series, and then went to those movies, and then to Star Trek The Next Generation, and then to Deep Space Nine, which was just concluded recently, and now they are on Voyager, and then after Voyager we'll be moving on to Star Trek Enterprise, which is this ship here. And it's wonderful. Every that's on Saturdays, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, I believe. And I'll put a link in the description. So yeah, if you want to check out rmbriggs, I will also put a link to her information in the description, and you can find out more on how to get her books and give support there. And I think it's very important. So Raquel's been very nice and really pushed this channel. So some of you watching may have subscribed because of recommendations on that show, and I'm very appreciative of Raquel and her husband for recommending the channel, and I really, really appreciate it. So this is kind of a thank you to Raquel, and also I just don't have the room, folks, for making all these models. So I like finding people who can get these and appreciate them, and Raquel is very much on the top of the list of people who deserve to have something done. She's done some wonderful stuff for the community. You can imagine you don't make millions of dollars writing science fiction these days, just so it's a labor of love to keep that tradition going. Okay. So for this area here, it's in a corner. Let me try a little dental pick. I wonder if this is what it's like to do a filling. Yeah, it works okay. It actually, I feel like a dentist wiping off the little pick. Should I ask the model how it's doing? How you doing? Ah, yes. So when you're putting the putty work, especially on areas that you're not going to see too much, you just want to do enough to block the light. Think more about blocking the light than filling the gap. Because if you fill the gap, you just end up using a lot of putty and then you see it. So yeah, I'm just moving this thing around, checking as I go for little light leaks and stuff like that, and it's looking good. I'm a little disappointed with how much putty I had to put here in the back, but it is what it is, and I will paint that over, and it will hardly be noticeable. I just don't like to put more putty than I feel is necessary. That was a lot. Anyway, we got everything. Everything's locked down pretty good. From the sides, I've got a little bit more work to do here, there, and yeah, we're gonna be a little busy here on this one. Hey guys, right, I'm done with the putty work. I would estimate that it took me about an hour, maybe a little bit more, to get everything. So all in all, not too bad. Even though there was pretty much the entire perimeter of the ship to do just minor putty work, got it all done. And I'm just gonna rotate it a little bit here, and there are a couple very minute areas that didn't get puttied, but I'm okay with it. I'm satisfied with this. And so the next step here is to try to get some of the excess here. So these little side pieces here, they're rigid, so when I put the putty on, some of it smeared into these ridges. So to fix that, I'm going to take the cotton swab here, I'm going to put a little bit of water in it, and I just want to lightly moisten the edges here. Sorry about that. I tend to stop talking when I'm concentrating on something. And you'll see here it kind of looks like it's gone away. Some of it has, but when it dries, it will reappear. I'm not going to get all of it, but what I want to do is get enough off to where I don't see it in the ridges, see it in there. So I've wet it down, and I'm just taking the dental pick, and I'm going to lightly just go over these ridges, and then I'm going to take it and wipe it on the towel, just like I'm a real dentist taking plaque. So when I got it a little bit wet, just slightly, mind you, it was enough to loosen it to where I can use the dental pick on its own. Now when it's dry, the dental pick method won't work as well, because what you'll end up doing is taking off chunks, and we don't want to do that. I just want to take off the part that's in these ridges, and I'm trying to leave this part alone. On the top here is where that light was coming out, so I don't want to really get in there, and that's why I like this pick, because it's small enough to just stay in one little ridge, and I'm really not putting any pressure at all on this, you guys. Okay. All right, you guys, so I'm going to do this decanting process here. So I've got the bare metal silver Tamiya spray paint and a somewhat clean bottle. It's not 100% clean, but it's fine for the purposes that we're working on here. And I've got a little bendy straw here that I've cut, and so I'm going to demonstrate how to do this decanting process. So what you want to do is you want to cut your bendy straw to where it's in the bottle and able to be attached to the nozzle, just kind of like this, and it's mostly at the bottom there. Now this nozzle here is a lot smaller than the hole on the straw, so what you kind of have to do is just work it in a little bit until it decides to stick. And if it doesn't stick, then what I'll do is I'll just hold it with my hand. So the last time I did this, the straw kind of dug in there. Maybe I can just give it another try. But it's not. That's okay. So I've already shaken the can properly. So I'm going to just hold the straw against the nozzle here. I'm pushing it inward this direction. So I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to spray some paint. Now that's plenty. I put a little bit of extra again because I had some residual paint from the last time I had done this. So there's the thing. It's very cold. Now I'm going to go off screen here, remembering to spray your can a couple seconds, wipe down the nozzle, put it back. I know I'm a broken record with that, but it's very important. So in here now we have some of the silver paint, and if I were to take this to my nose, it'd be very powerful. This is very thin paint. So what you want to do is just give this a little time to air out, dry up just a little bit, and I'll bring it up and I'm just blowing into the bottle to get some of that propellant out. It smells a lot like thinner. I'm sure they thin this down quite a bit in the can. It'd be interesting to see the concentration of thinner to paint in the spray cans. So anyway, yeah, there you go. So it's good enough. Now there's a little bit of the white, racing white that was in here the last time I did that, and I used this method to paint the escape pods on the Enterprise C. And that's it, everybody. So I'm going to turn on the light here, let that camera adjust, and I've got the ship here, and I'll just go ahead and do a little bit of painting here with the brush. Go very light, and I'm basically just going to go over and lift it up to get a better angle. I just want to get it on the white putty that we had applied earlier. So again, the benefit of doing this process on the decanting is because it's the same color we topped the ship with. If I go over a little bit with the brush, that's okay because it's the same color. It's not going to be very apparent. So that's one method. Whereas if I was using a different silver color, which I have in the jar, probably wouldn't be able to do that. So I can be a little more careless, I suppose would be the better word, or I just don't have to be as meticulous with the application, except for like right here. I don't want to get it on the thruster. And I'm just going to go around here. So I'm going to stop the video here in a second, and I will get all the way around. All right, guys, we are moving along here. So I've got almost all the painting done, with the exception of a few touch-up things to do on the nacelles. I got to put a little bit more of the clear red there, and then touch up some of these gold areas here. But other than that, I've gone ahead and put the silver here on all the putty work that we had done, so I've covered that up. And I've also gone ahead and put the Duplicolor wheel matte clear coat on there, and I've talked about this before. It's a really cool product. You can get this can at AutoZone or O'Reilly's, any place like that, for about $12, and you can cover quite a number of models with this. It's a very inexpensive alternative to the kind of clear coats that you would get at a model shop, and I really like this one. because it's even though it says matte, it does kind of provide a somewhat gloss effect, and it's right down the middle. It's not too glossy, not too matte. And one of the things that this does is, I have mentioned before, is that this stuff will lower the tone of your model by 1 or 2 shades. So I'm going to turn on the light here, and I'm really happy with the effect that it did. Now, if you want to pause the video and go back to before I did this, you'll notice that the silver was a lot brighter, and this matte color actually seems to have brought out some of the copper that I had put underneath that copper tone underneath there as an undercoat. So it seems like it kind of brought that out a little bit. Sorry about that. I got this flickering light. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead now and start applying the Aztec decals, which we went over in the unboxing portion. I'm going to turn off the lights there. Move the old ship out of the way and just kind of review them. So again, we have a few sheets of this stuff. I think there's 3. Yes. So there are 3 sheets, and they're very detailed. So I'm going to start with the bottom of the ship here, get that done, and put that on. Now, I haven't talked about this before, but I am going to be using in this one micro set and micro sol. These are little aftermarket products for decals that you apply. The micro set, I think, is probably just pretty much vinegar. When you smell it, it smells just like it. I don't know for certain. So I might be able to look up an alternative way to get this, but this has lasted me for a long time. So the way you use this stuff is you put this on first, and you put your decal on, get it dry, and then you put the micro set on, and then you wait some amount of time, and then you put micro sol. And what that does is it kind of makes it almost like it dissolves the decal into the kit, for lack of a better explanation, but it helps it adhere to it. Now, you don't always have to use this stuff. It's mainly meant for models that have curves or irregular or surfaces that aren't flat. So we have a lot of that going on with this kit because it's so small, and there's a lot of little curves and indents and things like that. So I am going to be using the micro set and micro sol for this kit, and you just brush it on and then wait some time and put it on the other one. So yeah, that's going to be really cool, and it'll get these decals to really adhere to all these curves and give this kit some really nice detail. Okay, and that's about it for now. I don't think I really need to demonstrate the decal application, but I will go ahead and explain it really quickly. Basically, what you want to do is use your X-Acto knife. Try to get if you have a new blade, get a new one, and you want to cut with the blade right around there. And then what I do is I'll put the decal on a towel and spray some water on there and let it loosen up on the towel, and then transfer it over and just slide it off. A lot of people put it in a bowl or something. I don't like to do that because the decal can just disintegrate or float off into the water, and then it's really hard to fish it out and keep it straight. So just cut it out, put it on the towel, spray it with some water, let it soak for a few seconds, and then put it on your kit, and then just slide it off. And then try not to use your X-Acto knife or anything sharp to slide it around. You might want to consider getting something with a blunt or round tip like this, or even tweezers like that would work. And for me is my trusty dental pick that I use for all kinds of things for the model. So now these sheets here, you can also keep these if you want. It's just kind of wax paper. So if you didn't want to use a towel, and instead you put your decal on here and spray it, and then that way it won't soak through the towel onto your surface here. That's an option as well. But yeah, this is gonna be great, folks. I will give this a start here. I anticipate this would probably take me Oh, I would say estimate an hour or two, probably more, to just apply the decals, and then another hour and a half to apply the microsolid microset. But of course, these get put on after. You got to let everything dry out, and then apply it. Well, maybe not let it dry out completely, but dry. You don't want it soaking when you apply that stuff. But anyhow. But yeah, that's it, folks. So next time we see this, she'll be all decaled up and ready to go. But all the light leaks are gone, and everything just sealed up really nice. The ship is illuminating beautifully, and we've got just enough of these subtle little paints there. Oop, I gotta reapply that. That came off of that dome pretty good. No problem. Yeah, everything's really going good, folks. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody, here we are, and it's time for the final reveal. We're just going to get right to this one. I've got the model propped up on the cake decorating spinner, and I'm going to be rotating a little bit about it, and really not much else to say, so I'll just go as things come to mind. And here we go with the lights. And there we go. So this model, again, it's about 5 to 6 inches in width and about 7-8 inches long. She came out really nice. I'm very happy with this. All the light leaks were taken care of. I did take care of one right before I started filming this, which is right here. And it is still white, so when it dries, I'm just going to paint that over silver. So I just wanted to get this recording done and get everything shown to you. So again, I'm so happy with this. It's a small kit. There's no nav board in it again, and we used the pin vise to drill out the windows there. So if you have the opportunity to get one and you have a small kit, it's a good alternative to the Dremel. It's a little cheaper, and you get much more control. I will say, though, drilling even this small amount of windows here, there's maybe 70 or so, maybe 100 on this kit. I didn't count them. But when I was done, my fingers were a little tender. So if you're going to do that, you might want to do this in a couple of sessions. We've already talked about what lighting I have in there. They're just 0805 SMDs in the nacelles, 2 in there. And there's 2 0805s here in the back for the impulse engines, which I will rotate the ship all the way around to get that. And there's the impulse engines. And then there's a couple little thrusters here at the back of the saucer section, which those aren't lit with any particular wire. Those are just from the light bouncing around inside. The other thing I discovered on this kit is to utilize the little cotton swabs here that I'm going to hold up in front of the camera. These are really good for plugging up those holes for these snap together kits, and provided a good way to stand the model when I was painting it and letting it dry and such. The overall the decals here, I am so happy with these, you guys. These are from the Aztec decals that you can buy separately. They were about $30, $35. Fully worth it, everyone. I mean, that's about as much as the kit, but I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to lift the camera up and zoom in, or bring the camera closer. You can see this. It is, the quality on these things is wonderful. I really like these. It looks like this stuff was painted on. And then after you put those Aztec decals, you of course put the decals of that came with the kit. They came out so good. I'm really, really pleased. There's even some here on the top of the nacelles. It's kind of hard to see. Now, when you do zoom in here, you do see some of the putty work that was done. Again, it's because it's such a small scale model, and there's a lot of variances in the little ridges and raised detail on this kit is really actually very impressive. You'll get closer here, and you can just see there's a lot of dug in panel lines and raised bits of detail, so that makes the putty work a little bit hard to get fully smooth. Now, I do see a tiny little light leak back there. I am gonna have to let that one go. That's way in the corner, and it turned out you don't really even notice it. But other than that, I mean, all the light leaks from the saucer section were taken care of. There were some light leaks to contend with under here, under the nacelles where these nacelles connect to the struts. I anticipated that, but the perfect plastic putty and some palette knife worked wonderfully. So, okay, I'm going to, let me see if I can dislodge the camera here. And I'm just going to go underneath the ship here. That's where I was aiming for. And you can see there the Aztec details are underneath the ship as well. I'll lift it up there. And the nice sensor dome light. And you get some really good window lighting coming out from there. And good panel design. The Aztec details are just wonderful. So, I mean, if you're going to buy this kit, everyone, I would say go ahead and get the Aztec decals as well, just to pop it off. It really is, it brings this kit to a whole new level. I do want to point out some things about the decals, and I'm going to just pause the video here and come back and talk about those for a second. So stand by. All right, guys, I just wanted to call out a couple little things about the decals that came with this kit. And I'm going to bring in the old Enterprise here to demonstrate here. So if you look here on the old kit that I had, there's this big giant sheet of a decal that has these little red detail lines on these panel lines. I did try to put that on this kit, but as you can see from this one here, hopefully, the decals that came with the kit are not bad, but they're very shiny and they kind of tended to peel away. So when it came to this, I opted to not put a few of the decals that came with the kit. Namely, I just want to point them out. The big number 3 decal here that I'm circling here, and that's one we were just talking about. And then there's also back here, there's a decal that kind of goes on this little ridge on the ship. Again, this is my old kit. There's this little decal here that adds some details. And if you look here, the decal's a little bit longer than the piece here. Maybe if we'd have put it on the ship before putting it together, but the instructions didn't say to do that. And not only that, but the detail on here is very hand-drawn looking. It doesn't look natural. And when I put it on the other kit, when the quality of the Aztec decals, and when I put this on, it just kind of took me out of it. So I just opted to get rid of that one. So I removed that decal. And then there are some little tiny red little red decals on the bottom. Let me turn this over here. I think yes, I did put them on the old kit, and they just, I had to, even on this one, I had to cut them, and it just didn't add really anything to it. And so I took those away as well. And then there are a couple of tiny decals that are basically these things, these little bracket shapes that go on the underneath side, on the bottom side of the saucer. They're here. The Aztec decals actually have this shape. It's just a little lighter color, so I took those off as well. But yeah, so I mean, it didn't take away anything from it. I think it added, especially that back piece here, and I've got the original model. The one I took away here, it'd be nice, maybe I can go back and color that or something next time with a different color paint. But she looks fine the way she is, and I'm not missing anything by not having the red lines there. Again, that giant sheet of a decal was adding, I mean, it looked like a piece of saran wrap on top of the model, and so I'm like, I'm not going to even put that on. It wasn't, it's not going to be missed. Aside from that, I did put the micro set and micro sol on the entire kit. I don't always do that with these, but because I'm basically covering the whole kit with decals, I just went ahead and put the micro set on there, let it dry in micro sol, and that kind of makes these decals adhere to the plastic tightly, and it gets these any air bubbles or lifts that you might have in any panel lines. It helps to eliminate those or reduce them at any rate, and especially with the level of texture detail on this kit for being so small. pardon me, it was just best to go ahead and use that. So it's pretty inexpensive stuff. And I've had these 2 bottles of, they're like an ounce and a half. I've had them for a few years now. So that's it for that, everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it. I'm going to turn the lights off in the shop, and we'll do one more kind of a beauty pass, and we'll call this one complete, everybody. Be right back. All right, guys, I've got most of the lights off here in the shop. I'm just going to do a final beauty pass here and give some closing comments. It was a pleasure building this here for Raquel. Raquel Riggs has done some wonderful promotion for the channel on Saturday Night Star Trek and Clobby's Clubbhouse over on Clobberin Times. Go ahead and check those streams out. If you're a Star Trek fan or a science fiction fan, go ahead and check out Clobberin Times channel and look for some nice streams and everything, some really good stuff. And if you are a reader and enjoy science fiction, check out Raquel's works. They're really good. She's one of the last surviving writers of science fiction, of classic science fiction, short story format, and guarantee you will enjoy yourself if you check those out. So thanks to Raquel for promoting the channel so much, and I hope you enjoy this kit as much as I had building it. And that's it, everybody. This is really good. That's it, and we'll see you on the next build. Next build is going to be the Jupiter 2, 1/35th scale, and we've got some great stuff planned for that one, everyone. It's going to be with the spinning lights and the spinning radar dome on top, as well as resin figures inside, lit model. Is going to be the whole shebang, and we'll talk more about that one later. But for now, we're signing off, saying goodbye to the NX-01. If you're building this kit, everyone, good luck. And don't forget, send me some pictures. It's the sci-fi model guy at gmail.com, and we will feature some of your works or on the channel during our viewer mail episodes. All right, everyone, take care. Happy modeling.